for Family Matters. Miss Bodymet is here along with a guest. So let me allow them to introduce themselves. All right, this morning. So again, wherever you are located down, welcome inside another Family Matters. Good morning, ladies.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, Ulan, and good morning, listeners. Again, I have to apologize that I have not been here for a little while, but as usual, I'm a very, very busy person and I try my best to be here all the time. So, with me this morning, I have a lovely young lady, and I will let her introduce herself. And I'm very pleased that she accepted my offer to be here. So, let me hand you over to her to introduce herself, and then we're going to speak about our topic afterwards. Go ahead, Miss.
Good morning. Thank you, Miss Bodiemet, for the invite, and thank you for having me, Mr. Ulan. My name is Minerva Charles David. I am an insurance advisor, senior advisor with Surgical Life Insurance. I am a mother of two, a wife, and I have been in insurance for the past 16 years, in which I have met so many people and helped encourage many persons. So I am here today to just share my experience, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, Mrs. David. Yes, and I must confess that I have known Mrs. David for a long time, but it's only recently we had a long conversation, and I was like, wow, this lady really inspires me. And the way she inspired me, I said to her, look, you need to come on our program so that you could, of course, share some of your motivation with others. So this morning we are going to discuss about resilience. Okay, what is resilience? How can you be resilient? Because what I've noticed is that, especially our young persons, they are not very resilient. As you would find, persons from long ago would beat the odds and do what they needed to do to get to places. But now you find a lot of young people complain, and it's like it's okay to complain, but cry and get back up. This is what I always say. You need to cry when you need to and get back up. So we are here today to give some insights on how best to do that.
Okay.
Especially those going to work field after graduation.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, resilience. Resilience is the ability to go through challenges and difficulties and get back, being stronger than before. You know, like you said, Miss Modimet, you fall, but you get back up. You don't stay down and cry. And complaining is not a good thing at all. You don't complain because when you complain, you block your blessings. I've learned that in life. When you complain, it's like you're preventing whatever God has in store for you. You're preventing yourself from receiving it because it's like you just always have a problem with everything. That it prevents you from seeing, what is there for you in this situation. Because even in the worst situations, you will find there is something to be thankful for. And I remember resilience, the persons who just experienced the hurricane in our sister isles. And
Yes.
I've been looking at the videos, they've been so touching, so sad. But one thing I hear all of them saying is, I'm grateful I have life. Even though they
Definitely.
lost
Everything.
everything, they have nothing left, but they have life. Because having life, you could still build back. You could come back even stronger than before. And that's something that we need to take a page from.
Definitely, Miss. Very well said. And that's a perfect example to use. Imagine these people who lost their homes and everything they work for would just sit and cry, sit by the roadside and cry and complain. Would anything ever happen for them? No. As much as it's sad, as much as everything they had, they lost it, but thank God for life and they can build again. And this is a pure example of resilience. Building again, standing up after all your adversities, and you stand and say, look, I can do this and I will do this and I will get this done. Oh, yes. So give us a little of this, Mrs. David, of how you've been resilient.
Okay, for me, all right. I started off with my career. Since we want to also impact those school leavers,
Yes.
I started off with my first job as a clerk at a very popular government It's not exactly government, statutory body, institution, and I worked there for 7 years. And I always wanted more. I always felt like, I'm not growing, I'm stagnant. I did courses and I thought, to myself, here, I have to push myself to do better. Here's the reason why I did courses to improve my skills. And still, it's like I was still just stagnant. I wasn't moving, I wasn't growing. Then I got myself pregnant. I had a son at 24, which is reasonable age, but
It
for
is
me it was way too
definitely.
early because that wasn't my plan. I didn't plan on having a son too early. I wanted to be married and then have children and be more prepared. But it happened that way and I embraced it. I asked myself, how can I improve? Because I had to now take care of not just me, but also my son. And it happened that I said, okay, I will look for other jobs, another job to, get to take care of us. And I never got to send one application. Like I was telling you, Miss Bodhi met my story that because of my personality, my mindset, I was out there at the salon getting my hair done when this gentleman saw me. In fact, I had earlier passed next to him. He was sitting waiting for some ladies who actually they were all from Barbados. They came down for a funeral. So he had never met me before. And he just came and asked me, am I an insurance advisor? And I told him, insurance, no. At the time I worked with national insurance, but I wasn't an insurance advisor. And he told me something about me. He saw that, I could be a very good advisor, it seems. So I said, okay. I was in the process of thinking of how could I get out of my current situation, because when I looked at my income for the year, for the what I would get per month, it would not sustain myself and my son. So I had to step out of that comfort zone. It wasn't comfortable anymore. It was very uncomfortable. So I decided, okay, I'll look into it. I did my research about the company. And lo and behold, I saw, okay, Sagicor seems to be a very good company. And he had told me that he had been there for 40 years and he did very well. So I said, okay, I'll give it a try. It was something that I got a lot of opposition
Sure.
from my close loved ones who felt that, why would you leave your stable job and go into insurance? Because it seemed to them like insurance was such a bad thing at the time. I don't know why, because insurance is a very noble profession. Insurance helps so many people, and I'll get to that soon, you know. And I decided to take the leap and just jump. Yes,
Yes.
that leap of faith. I said, God has brought me here for a reason, and He brought this person from all the way Barbados that I never met before. So I believe that, hey, this is my calling. And I went into it with everything I had. And I can tell you, it's 16 years now, and I have not regretted.
Oh, wow, amen to that. Very good. And I'm happy to hear you say that you were at the right place at the right time. Because a lot of times God speaks to us in different ways, and sometimes we don't listen because you never thought of insurance. And there is this person telling you you look like an insurance agent and you should go into it. And there are many instances where persons will see others and will be like, hey, and then you look like a police officer, and he hears that all the time. But he's like, me, I could never do that, and so on. So it's like sometimes God is telling you or pointing you in the right direction, but sometimes we do not listen. Yes, but
Knowledge.
yes, we don't. So, um, with Mrs. David, I can share because we're here to share our experience on resilience, and let me tell you about mine. Um, there is this song. There is this song. I can't remember, but this joke, rather this joke, and I can distinctly remember. I was on the student council when I was going to school to do my degree, and a joke was shared about a mother sending her daughter to university, and the child came back with a baby instead.
Oh,
And the mother named the baby Degree. So,
Oh my goodness.
and I can recall that this person felt really offended
Yeah.
when this joke was shared, because she's like, it really impacted her, and I felt really bad. And we need to be mindful of what we said. But I am like, I am dealing with the situation because I have to diffuse the matter. But I'm a living example. I am a living example of that.
Okay.
That I went to study and I came back with a baby.
Oh,
I came back pregnant. But like I always tell people, it is not how you start your journey, but it's how you end it.
exactly.
Because I went to Barbados to Kivio campus to study. And when I got there, only to find out I am pregnant. Okay, I am pregnant. I did not finish my schooling in Barbados. I worked so hard to get there. And I came back home because I had another daughter at home. I came back home and I said, you know what? I'm going to take care of my children. When my baby was born, she was only 3 months old. I enrolled back here in St. Lucia at GTS. Their base is actually at Plainview in Vieux Claricious.
Okay.
And I enrolled with them because nothing would stop me from being a social worker that I wanted to be.
Amen.
Yes, so I enrolled with the program and I started. It was very difficult, but that was not the biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
A year after, lo and behold, I became pregnant again with a second baby. Yes. And I'm like, oh my God, I am finished. But guess what? This resilient lady
Mm-hmm.
went forward with two babies.
And did what you
And
had to do.
I did it. My first daughter was actually graduating. She was in grade 6.
Okay.
And at this time, I was finishing my courses. I had 6 courses, two babies, and my daughter in grade 6. And let me tell you, I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And I'm saying that to tell you, sometimes you would look at Mrs. David and myself and think, you know what, we were handed a silver spoon or we were handed a gold spoon and everything is going okay. Only if you knew our journeys. Everybody has a journey. Everybody went through a rough patch.
Amen.
So don't ever think that, we're out there doing it and some people say, Gaddy, Ikoyadi dying. Look at her. She not stepping on an ant when you say she passing. She don't know people. Yes, you hear that, don't you, Ellen? You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Gadi Ellen, Ikoya die because you can't have the radio station. It is being said. Gadi Miss Body make like where the day can drive the machine me. But let me tell you, yes, all the time I was hiking. Sometimes I had to hike because class was from 6. After I came from teaching, I had to go to Plainview from 6 o'clock, 6 to 9 every night. And sometimes at that time I didn't have a vehicle and I had to hike back, wait for a ride. It was very rough.
I could imagine.
It was very rough. But at the end of the day, I was determined to succeed. And at this time, it wasn't just for me anymore. It was for my children. And just today,
Yeah.
I was telling a client that when you have a child in the mix, it's no longer about you. The decisions you make isn't really about you anymore. It is about your children. How would it impact your children?
Exactly.
Tell us a little more about that.
Okay. So my children are, like you said, my everything. My hard work, my being in this industry and having to go through, because this industry, as much as, like I said, I have not regretted,
Yes.
doesn't mean it's always been a smooth sailing. It has its challenges, it has its ups and downs, because our society has this, I would say, a stigma about insurance, that insurance is this, insurance is that. But insurance persons have helped so many persons. When there is a death in a family and that person has no insurance and they leave nothing behind, the loved ones are left to struggle. However, when that person has a plan in place, and secretly, because most people don't want us to, in fact, we're supposed to keep everything confidential, but most people don't want people to know, I got a check from insurance.
Like for the family indemnity plan?
Pardon?
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, they want one person to know I
Yes.
just got a $250,000 check from insurance. So if I'm coming to their home to bring that check, it has to be in secret.
True.
Yes.
Okay, or if they're coming to me at the office, it has to be in secret. So most persons don't know about that. They just know my grandmother or grandfather had a bad experience with insurance some years ago, so I'm not into insurance.
Yes.
And they think it's only for when they die, but insurance is so much more. It covers and does so much more for you.
Medical.
Yeah, there's medical insurance, there are pension plans. I mean, we have the annuity plans, we have critical illness plans whilst you're alive. You can benefit whilst you're alive. You could have a policy that gives you back, a policy with a cash value that down the road, that cash value, you're in a jam, you really need some money, you have an emergency, you could take from it. Yes, it's as a loan, you pay it back, but at the time you really needed it, it would be there to help you. It's from your policy. Okay, there are endowment plans where down the road it matures and you get this lump sum that you could put towards your retirement. So there are so many benefits to having an insurance plan, but most persons don't know about it. And that's why persons like me, people will say, you that lady everywhere. I will go from Grosley to the north to Suffresh Roselle, Viewfort in the south to ensure that I educate persons about the importance. I am an introvert, I would say. I am not someone who's very outspoken, but because of this career, I have become an extrovert. Because
Okay.
I have to do, it's like every time someone dies and they had no insurance, I feel like I'm responsible. I should have met with that person and try to, I'm like, I knew that person. I never asked them the question,
Yes.
and their family now is a struggle for them to put together to bury them and do everything. And the family is left with nothing. So I really appreciate what I do. And like I said, it has had its challenges. There are some months it's tough. It's really tough. You call persons, they don't answer their phones. You send them a message, they don't respond. And you feel like, wow, am I in the right profession? Why am I getting this
And you
pushback?
never give up.
Why am I getting this pushback? But you don't ever give
Give
up.
up.
I have this spirit that when I'm into something, I'm
You're
in it for
into
the
it.
long haul. I'm into it. I feel like God put me here for a reason to help persons, and the amount of persons I've helped is testimony, because it's not just about um, giving persons that product that could help them, but also when I sit with persons and they're feeling down, I encourage them. I love to encourage persons. I like to tell them, there's something you can do. Don't just sit there and cry.
All right.
Get up and see, what can I do? And there's always something.
You could do.
But we
Right.
just have to, in our society, I find we don't take time to meditate, to reflect, to just, see what's happening with us and see how. Because there's always a way. There is always a way. No matter how bad the situation may seem, there's always a way. There's always something. And we trust that God will see us through.
Definitely. And I'm happy to hear you say that, because I just remembered recently I'm doing a presentation at an establishment, and one of the things I did mention to them is that you have to do a lot of introspection. So every single day, it's very important that every single day after your long day, you get some time to yourself and you review what you did for that day.
That's important.
What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Did I offend somebody, or could I have done that differently? Always do some introspection, and then you come back tomorrow, because tomorrow is always a new day. Okay, always believe that tomorrow is a new day and you can do something different can happen, right? And if you heard Mistress David say that it has not been a smooth sailing, neither for me. You as persons who go out there, I've heard persons say they go to look to get a job, and with all the qualifications they did not make it, or they applied for a scholarship and they did not make it. I was at an award ceremony recently and I heard a doctor say that she applied for a scholarship her fourth time. On her fourth attempt, she got through. So imagine, after her first attempt, she gave up, right? After her fourth attempt, she got through. right? So don't believe that when you go out there for a job and you don't get it, or the job that you wish. Say you, me, I finish with that. Or I'm hearing a lot of people say, you know what? I want to become a teacher, or I want to become an insurance agent. But because that is not the job that they get, me, I'm not working. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that. Right? Because a teacher I want to be, or an insurance agent I want to be. So if I'm not going to get that job, I'm not going to do that. No. I've always known that I wanted to become a teacher. That was my main job. And I started off with working at a bakery. Then I moved to babysitting. Then I moved to, at the time it was called Julian's at Massey. I packed shelves. I enjoyed what I was doing. I was earning a daily bread. Okay, I worked at Massey, and the list goes on until I became the teacher that I wanted to be. Whilst I was in teaching for almost 20 years, or over 20 years, then I realized, okay, you know what? It's time for me to move. It's time for me to grow. So I'm saying this to say that we need to use things as stepping stones to go to where you want to be. So don't stay where you are and say, look, because I'm not getting that job, I'm going to leave. For example, you want to become a doctor, and maybe you started and you cannot finish. Don't just give up. Do something else, let it be a stepping stone to get you to where you want to go. And always, always get up and move. Don't stay back. School leavers, if you cannot get that job, make yourself employable. You need that income. Okay, make juice, sell it. Do get the coconut, make the coconut balls
Coffee
and
tea.
on the coffee tea, and do
There's
something to
something.
help yourself. So don't sit back and be like, you know what, life is such a drag, and my God, let
Yeah,
me
that's
tell
it.
you.
Never be ashamed of your
I'm
hustle.
telling
You can't be
you,
ashamed of your hustle.
yes, because some people, I've heard like prominent members of society, when they tell you how they started
Yeah,
off, you'll be like,
yeah,
really?
yeah.
So
So
you
true.
persons need to come out and give their stories, because
Yes.
many people feel, okay, she's so successful today, that what you know about struggling, what you know about
Yeah, that is
working
true.
hard, and little do they know. Okay.
11 for the Super St. Lucia and the Eastern Caribbean. I know some of you are locked on, whether via the internet, just to make mention, YouTube, Facebook, or even Radio Land. If you want to make a contribution, 7305388. All right, send us a message. Give us your testimony as well. All right, feel free.
Definitely.
You can give us your testimony as well. Again, the number 7305388. One more time, 7305388. Continue.
Yes, thank you. And I was coming to what Mrs. David was saying about insurance and how beneficial it is. Um, I remembered being a single mother, a young single mother, and my daughter was diagnosed with asthma from young, and you can just imagine she was always sick, always sick. And of course, my salary wasn't that much. And this insurance lady came to me, this insurance agent, and she said to me, "Why don't you take a medical for your daughter?" I was like, "I'm barely making any money." She said, "It's not so much money. There are different plans, and I want you to tell us about it as well. There are different plans that can help you, you and your daughter, especially that she's always sick." And she told me, "Come, let's discuss. Do this way, and so on." I listened to her. And let me tell you, to this day, I have not regretted, because not only did I take the medical, but I also took with a life with the savings component that I'm able to withdraw from. And let me tell you, that has been my emergency fund for so many times. So it's very important to do that. So don't think, okay, my salary is not that much. I'm not making much. And moi, HRC vole, you can vole, l'argent you vle. It's a scheme and whatsoever. Sometimes when you least expect it, it pulls you out of a jam. And I'll let the
Yes.
professional here tell you.
Well, definitely. And something you mentioned, I wanted to just touch on about, the hustle after, starting after school and starting a new career. I find that the internet is a place where we could get so much knowledge and it's not being used wisely.
So
Persons
true.
would use the internet to throw words at each other, to, do all things that are not empowering. We need to empower ourselves. And there's so many motivational speakers, audiobooks, things that we could listen to over YouTube that could help empower us, that could give you an idea that could take you to the next level. So don't limit yourself. When you're on the internet, don't go looking for things that will not help you grow.
So
And
true.
always surround yourselves with persons who will give you good advice, because it's very rare to find persons in our society now who would help encourage persons and boost them. Because I'm so happy when my clients come to me, it's like, they feel that they could open up to me and speak about things, and I will listen and talk to them, and they really love that. So if persons could get someone, be that one, whoever is listening out there, and you're probably working, you're a role model, whenever you get the chance to sit with young persons or with persons around, be an inspiration, be someone that they could, be inspired by, that will help them grow. Okay, so now to what I do as an insurance person. Okay, you said your medical insurance helped you quite a bit,
Yep.
and it's something that I think everybody with children should have. Medical, should have life insurance. I know they might say, yes, the income is so small, I can barely afford it. But having a medical insurance, you go to the doctor, right? Or you have to be hospitalized, whatever it may be, and you have no medical insurance in place. Whatever monies, you have to take it from your savings or from wherever, from your pockets. You don't get it back when you have no plan, right? So you go to the doctor, the whole thing came to maybe $300. You pay that $300, you don't get anything back. Okay, it's all from you. Having a plan in place, a medical insurance, at least I paid $300, I can get 250 back in my pocket. If there is a major medical where you have to be flown overseas, your family have to try and raise the funds to come up with the money. But if you have a plan, that would be covered. You have less headache. You have peace of mind. So insurance is about giving you peace of mind. And you take it for granted because of what maybe you've heard prior. Persons with bad experience. People with good experience, you hardly hear them talking. Those with bad experiences, and they'll never give you the whole story. They'll just tell you what happened to them.
Well, that's good there.
Yes, yes. They'll not tell you, okay, I probably didn't pay my policy and I end up lapsing it. So
Yes.
when the event came, I had no coverage. They'll say, oh, I pay insurance all these years and I got nothing when I needed it. But they'll not tell you that they
Yes.
didn't pay it the whole time. And maybe that's why they didn't get covered. Okay? If you don't pay, they'll say like, oh, Wasco, wouldn't they cut you off?
Yes, they would
So if you
definitely
don't pay in
disconnect you.
your insurance, what do you expect? Right? Now, life insurance, like I was saying earlier, is another very good plan, especially for persons with children. I just cannot see persons with children telling me, oh, if anything happened to me, they'll have to go and work. I'm like, you send your 5-year-old to work, you send your 10-year-old to work. You'd want that for them. You want your children to struggle. Life insurance could create generational wealth for our people, but we don't see that. All we see is taking money from me. But what can it do for you also and your family down the road? It's so great that if you just take the time to at least sit with an advisor, it could be any advisor. Okay, just sit with an advisor and let them explain to you the benefits, what it can do. Because having a life insurance, right? You go to the bank, you want to get a loan, you want to buy a piece of land, you want to build a home. Do you have life insurance? That is to secure the loan. So at
Yep.
the end of the day, something happens to you, the debt is cleared. Your
Right.
family is not left with a debt, and if they cannot pay it, the bank probably have to seize the house from them. You don't want that to happen, right? The other thing, you go in as somebody who probably in the tax bracket, you're gonna file your taxes. You could get to save some of that money that you put towards the insurance when you go and file your taxes. Okay, it reduces your tax code. Okay, and you know for sure your family is protected first and foremost. The persons that we call our heartbeat, our children we brought into this world that we love, and we won't want anything bad to happen to them. We'll stay without and make sure they have. Why, when we're no longer around, if God calls us prematurely. We do not know when something could happen. Events happen. If
True.
death happens to you prematurely, well, it happens to anybody at any
True.
time, but
True.
you know,
Very respectful.
you're in an accident, you know,
Yes.
or all of a sudden, up to this morning, I heard the story of a young lady was found dead in her apartment in her 40s. I was like, wow,
Wow.
Yes,
so young.
sad.
And it happens. It happens.
Nice. Somebody is just asking, how can they get in touch with an advisor or somebody to, yeah, that's what the person said.
Okay, I could always leave my number.
Nice.
And
but-
they could also call an insurance office, you know, they could call Sagicor.
Okay.
She'll leave
Well,
her
that's the
number.
company I'm with.
So again, you can all feel free leave a number. So
I will leave my
Yes.
number.
Definitely.
It's
an advisor to advise a person what to do, how should they go about doing it, really.
Yes.
Yes.
So she will leave her number so that,
Mhm.
of
I
course,
will
listeners
definitely
will-
leave my number. I could say it on the air too.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It's
Go ahead.
public.
I mean, like, not your
It's public.
hey.
Yes.
Leave your person, not to because
She
you-
has a number.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll write it down as well.
Yes.
I can say no.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so my number is 7210938. Again, 7210938. Minerva Charles David, Senior Advisor at Sagicor. Yes.
Because persons always want to, yes, they want to do it, but they don't know the way
How
to,
to
how
go
to go
about
ahead
it, true.
to do it. You understand?
Yes.
But persons always like to do things the right way.
Yes.
There's always
Yes.
your right way to do things.
Yes, there is.
Let me say good morning to Melissa. She's like blessings. She said she can relate, and I think when both of you ladies was giving your testimony, so yeah,
Mhm.
she said some sentiments on that as well. Right?
Nice.
So yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
ladies.
So there's also you could use insurance for having an annuity plan because a lot of persons don't have a plan for when they retire.
Mhm.
And they believe, you know, I have NIC and NIC will take care of me. And they believe they're going to get a big amount from NIC. Yes, you will get something from NIC, but do you know how much?
Is it comfortable enough?
Exactly.
Let's say about 10 years from now.
Yes.
The cost of living. You
Inflation is going up every day. Okay, 40% of your income, no lump sum from NIC, just 40% of your income. The only time you get a lump sum from NIC for retirement is if you didn't have sufficient contributions.
Okay.
So right now it's 15 years contributions.
Mhm.
If you didn't have enough, then they'll give it to you in a lump sum, whatever you had there, and it's a
So-
one-time
and that's
payment,
it.
and that's it.
So,
So if it's just a little bit you had there, and that's it, the rest of your life, what do you do?
you can't be spending with that little.
Exactly, and that's why we see a lot of persons who have retired are working, are still going back. I mean, yes, you still have, you still strong, fine,
But
but some persons you could see they really need to rest.
Mhm.
They're tired.
Mhm.
And they're still working because they don't have a choice. They don't put things in place. So that's why an advisor sits with you to have you, to guide you, to put things in place. As young people,
Mhm.
that's the time.
So you're
to
simply
start.
asking all of us to be proactive.
Yes. Take um take steps whilst you can.
I
Don't wait.
We have 20 minutes to 12. I think we should have you on a show like again.
Okay.
Because a lot of what is being disseminated here this morning, there's a lot more persons that need to hear that. I'm honest. School is out, persons might be everywhere, then about. You understand?
Yes.
And I would love to do a rebroadcast of this show if you permit me. That if you're not
Definitely, we can always have a part
Okay.
2. Yes.
Another part 2.
Yes,
I said a rebroadcast of this show, but we can have a
Yes.
part 2.
Part 2.
No problem.
Yes.
Because that is your future. Like you mentioned, you need to secure your future.
Yes,
Definitely.
definitely.
Almost anything is likely to happen.
Anything.
There's something called impediments. There's something there's so much things.
Look at
so
the storm that just passed.
too much.
Definitely.
It could have been us.
Now again, as you highlighted the storm,
Mm-hmm.
and we're talking about insurance.
Mm-hmm.
There are persons with the wrong insurance. Some might insure their houses for flood, some might insure for flat fire, and who knows, something else caused the devastation to their house or their properties. I wish you could have highlighted all of those things.
Okay,
this morning.
so I could get to health.
Although I don't want to drift you because I know you brought up some
Resilient.
valid points.
Mhm.
You understand? But again,
That helps us to be resilient because when you have insurance to secure your property in the event of any untimely, any eventuality, like what happened there. Imagine your home, you lost everything and you have nothing getting from anywhere. is government.
Yeah.
Why are we always looking for handouts when we can take control of our future and
Very
put
much
things in
so.
place?
Create
Whilst
our own
we're able to,
opportunities.
you know,
Yes.
sometimes some people to make a little sacrifice is so hard. I've spoken to persons and I can
Let me
see.
just give you a little joke on this one. So I remembered, I'm hoping my friend is listening.
Mhm.
I did take insurance, and as I said, my salary was very low. And let me tell you, most everywhere I was going, I had the same dress, and I used I used to wear almost like the same clothes all the time.
It's okay.
And once my friend said to me, "You have a uniform."
Oh my goodness.
She said to me, "You have a uniform because you seem to be wearing that little blue dress to every event."
Aw.
So I told her, I told her, let me tell you something. It looks good on me.
Mhm.
Nobody can take it off me.
It's yours.
It's mine, and my children, well, my child at the time, my child is covered, right?
Exactly.
So when other persons are out there, like you find some parents, it's all about dolling the child
Mhm.
up, dolling the children up, and
Themselves too.
taking them and themselves,
Mhm.
and taking them out to all the places like KFC and this and that and the other. And what you're saying is very correct. They have nothing in place in case of an emergency. And let me tell you, it is very important, and it is right that where this is where resilience come in, that you have something to fall back on.
Mhm.
And to be resilient, you also must learn to make sacrifices,
Yes.
because if you cannot
That's
make
part of it.
sacrifices, where will you be?
Yes, and
So be
very
it,
true.
so you can put your uniforms for now. Now I can afford to buy a dress, but at the
That's the
beginning,
problem with our society. I've
yes.
noticed they cannot make sacrifices. Yes, rich people will never go broke. Acting rich, they rich and they act normal.
They
They
act
will wear the same, maybe
Yes.
their white t-shirt and their black pants. They wear it how many times? You never know.
Mhm.
But every event we go to, most of our people, as if I have to have a new outfit.
Yes.
I have to have a new hairdo. I have to have a new shoe. And at the end of the day, that is packed up on the side.
Mhm.
You're not selling it, it's not giving you any income. Why not use that money that you're spending to all these things to invest it into something that will make money for you,
Mhm.
that will help you
Definitely.
down the road? Okay? A lot of persons, they only depend on their job. Another part of being resilient, we went through COVID. COVID helped us to be resilient, but a lot of persons did not learn the lesson from COVID, because we are only depending on one source of
Income.
income. And we need to break out of that mentality. We need to think different. We need to think outside of the box. Okay? We've been taught and programmed, I would say,
Yes.
because maybe whoever was teaching us didn't know better, or I don't know why, but we've been, again, that's why the internet is there to open our eyes. There are so many. You research the persons who are doing well, the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos. We find out Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey. What's their story? What did they do? How did they get to where they want to get? Right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
must have discipline. And in life, yes, you may say, "Oh, I can't think of anything else. My job is taking all my time and stuff." There's always something you can do. There is
Always.
always something we can do, but we shut our minds. We don't find time to reflect. We don't think. We don't meditate. We're stuck in what we used to, and that's all we know. So that's all we do. But we have to break out of that. We have to think of, what more can I do? Look at an opportunity. There are opportunities all around us. Sometimes you want something and you cannot find it anywhere. That's an opportunity. Somebody else might be in the same, so many people else might need that same thing, and you can provide it. Or you could partner
Definitely.
with somebody.
Finding the solution to a problem.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Because every problem, there's a solution. And problems are there to help us grow stronger. Because you see, if we didn't have, like with me, if maybe where I was working prior to being an insurance advisor, I was comfortable. When I had my son, I got an increase, or I didn't get an increase. I did my courses. I did my courses and I thought, okay, I did my courses, paid all this money, sacrifice, got home late. Like you, I was hiking to get home 'cause I didn't have transportation. And I'm thinking, now they're going to give me a increase. So I'm happy. But they told me, congratulations, you're now being transferred from this area to this area. There will be no increase in salary. We wish you all the best. So I'm like,
Wow.
really? So now I had to say to myself, hey, this won't work for me. I'm uncomfortable now because what I'm earning to take care of my child with it is not sufficient.
Right.
So I need to do something else. And I started thinking, okay, should I send applications? I started drafting off applications and I prayed. You see, we have a God that is so good.
Amen to that.
And when we
Living
pray
testimony
and we
of that,
ask God for
Yes.
something, it may not come tomorrow morning, but it will come. And it will come in the ways that you probably never expected it.
Right.
Because I went to this salon, came to do my hair, never thought I would meet somebody who would actually be the one to link me up with what I'm doing now. Somebody who I never met before.
Now, a lot of persons do pray for blessings, and when they get the blessings, they misuse it. Or especially when persons pray for finance and they get finance, where they always spend for it. They don't know how to keep that blessing.
Yeah.
You understand?
It's just like the I was either I read it or heard, but I was watching a movie with Will Smith and the son. I think it was a very popular, right? That movie when the son was telling him, giving him the joke of this guy, he was praying to God. He's very called it very faithful guy, and I think he was in the midst of a storm or a flood, and he was praying to God to save him. And a boat came. He did not go on the boat. He said he's waiting for God to save him. And I think a helicopter came. He did not. He said, I'm waiting for God. And then some other people, he said, no, I'm waiting for God. So he eventually drowned. So when he got to heaven, he said, but God, you said you would save me. You never did. God said, but I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. And I sent you people. You did not come. So
true.
Yes.
So
So saying that to mean that sometimes your blessings and things does not come in the way you're expecting. So always be ready to accept things and make things work for you. Something you mentioned as well.
I have one question for you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Somebody's asking, at what age does a life insurance mature?
A life insurance mature?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what plan you take. If you have a whole life, it matures at 100. Not mature like you have to wait till 100 to get it, but it's up to 100 and that's where it ends. It matures. You could have an endowment that matures at 65. We have different endowment plans that matures at different stages. So
What would be the earliest?
well, currently what we have is at 65. However, we will soon be having some that will mature after 15 years, after 20 years, after 25 years. And we had some recently that matured in the same way in a series. We had 15 years. So some persons have that currently. After 15 years, they get that lump sum. After 20 years, after 25 years. So it all depends on what suits your needs and what suits your budget.
Right.
So we work with you and see what is best.
Very nice. Very nice. I hope that answers your questions. She's like whole life. So I get into
Your whole life is 100, so your whole life.
So I'm happy that Mrs. David is there to talk about the different plans, because before we knew better, or even I knew better, I always thought that life insurance was there for you for when you die. That's what I thought.
That's what I thought too.
So-
life insurance is just like
Yeah, so after it was explained to me, and especially I had a conversation with her, it's like, wow, I should have met you earlier. So part of the reason I said she needs to come out here and of course shed her light.
Insurance is
Yes.
it can do so much for you. And there's also the term plans. The term plans don't mature, but they end at a certain period. The term plans are there for persons taking mortgages, and they don't want most persons taking mortgages, since it's a lot, they cannot afford so much as a whole life or a permanent plan. So they take the term, which is a cheaper version. However, it ends at maybe 65, 80. It ends early and you get nothing back, depending on what plan you have. Okay? So there are different plans to suit various needs. So it's good to sit with an advisor.
So let me ask you a question. So if I started, I took one at 65 and I reached 65, and I say, can I change my plan to?
Yeah, you could convert it into a permanent whilst you're
Okay.
going with it.
And we definitely need to have another program for Mrs. David to come to definitely at least even bring in something, some samples, and we can, tell persons. So we'll have to let
Yeah, if it's that one is 200 for the month, 300,
so to give
whatever it
us
is, on the
some
plans,
more
the
insight.
prices and plans and
Definitely.
things.
Well, the prices, it would have to be based on individual needs because the younger you are, the less you pay. The older you are, the more
The
you
more
pay.
you pay.
Because when you're younger, you're expected to live longer. Your life expectancy is longer.
Longer strength,
Right?
got the energy to
Yes,
do
and
it,
most
okay.
likely you're in good health. But if you're older, you have a shorter lifespan because it's estimated that around 76, 78, between that time, we might pay out.
Yeah.
So
Keep the bucket.
if you come
Yes.
if you come in at 60 something, you know you're not gonna get a cheap insurance.
That's right.
Okay,
Right.
so based on your age, age determines, and also as you get older, you get different pains and health issues. So insurances, they want to get you when you're at a good risk. You're not a bad risk when you have good health.
Yeah.
So they give you it cheaper because you're
Want some tea?
yes. Okay.
Yes. But going back to something you said earlier, and not on insurance, but you were saying that you were shifted out of your comfort zone. And that was a very important plan because sometimes God is trying to remove you from where you are and by making things difficult for you. And we tend to fight back. We fight back and we don't get up and try to see differently. So sometimes when you are in your comfort zone and it starts becoming uncomfortable, this is God saying to you, look, you need to move.
It's time
You
to move.
need to
Yes.
move. So
Yes.
don't take it as, they fighting me down
No.
and people keeping me down
It's
and all
move.
kinds of stuff. It is time to move. Because I will take it for me. And again, going back to being resilient, where I was a teacher, same thing, and I did my social work degree. Lo and behold, I was not paid for my degree, so I never got a salary increase. And let me tell you, being a mother of three, not getting an increase, and I have so much going on, I cried a lot. I cried a lot. But I never sat back and blamed people and quarreled and left it alone. I kept moving forward, trying different things, trying different methods of, let me tell you. And again, to the school leavers, I was saying, I applied to many places to try to get out so I could get. It did not work. And I came back right where I belong to be a social worker. So, and this is what I've always wanted to be from teaching. So here I am
So
today.
you see God made a way.
Yes, because even when I had to move to a secondary school, it did not work out. And I'm like, what? But I have the qualifications. Why am I not going into the secondary school? It was not meant for
Exactly.
me. I was supposed to come back here. And whilst I'm on that, let me tell you, being a social worker is difficult. But yesterday, I had to bring this point out.
Okay.
Yesterday, one of my clients graduated. And let me tell you, this child came from so far gone, and she got most improvement in her academics and so on. And it was something for me. It was because it was like, yes, this is why you're a social worker. So you can help persons, impact persons, and not only social workers do that, insurance agent does that as well.
Yes.
So what we do impact persons, and we are bringing everything we do. We're talking about, yes, everything in life. You have to be resilient, and this child was, or is rather, a resilient child. That she did not let her circumstances
Keep her down.
keep her down.
That's good.
Okay.
I'm happy you said about what we do impacts persons because not just about when there's a death or you have a medical or something and you get monies, but me sitting with persons, and sometimes I can tell you I've had to be a counselor.
Definitely, I know that.
I've had to be, we as insurance advisors, we have so many roles because persons would come to us. You have to be the one to help boost their business. You have to be the one that listens and gives advice. And they'll tell you what they're going through. And you just have to listen. Some people just need a listening ear. And it's like, where else can they get that? So sometimes I counsel persons, I would say, and encourage them. And I believe my calling, my true calling, is to encourage persons, because when I speak to persons,
would
even
agree.
persons who don't have insurance with me, who I just meet and they tell me, and I just give them a little, and they come back and they say, Miss Charles or Mrs. David, because they still call me Miss Charles,
Yes.
and they say, Mrs. David or Miss Charles or Minerva, what you said to me, I used it. It helped me so much. You won't know. And now this is the outcome. It's so fulfilling that I was able
Definitely.
to touch that life. And with my profession, I am out there. I'm not just in an office. No one sees me. No one knows me. Although some persons say they don't see me all the time, but I try to be out as much as I
Yes.
can. So persons see me. People give others my number and they call me and we sit and we discuss what's their issue. And I try to tell them, okay, this is the situation. You could do this, you could do that. Some persons I can see clearly they cannot afford insurance, even though they would want to.
So,
They cannot afford it at this time. They would probably start 1 month and next month they cannot afford to pay. And it wouldn't be to their best interest. So I tell them, right now you cannot afford it. I've told persons that. I told them, come back, see what you can do. I tell them what talent you have. What are you good at? There was one of my clients, I remember, he was working in an institution. He was making barely enough. He was making less than 1,000. And then afterwards, when he came to me, I told him, no, you won't be able to. With what you have, your commitments, what can you do on the side? What are you good at? And he told me he's also good at cutting hair and he ended up being a barber. I think he did taxi, he did other things. And he came back to me and he told me, now I can afford the policy because I'm making more money. And I was so happy for him.
Yes, yes.
I'm like, yeah, that's what it's about, encouraging others to grow. And every situation is teaching us something. We have to look at it and see, what is this
Definitely.
teaching me? How can I grow from it? Okay?
So it's always about learning your lesson and not taking your situation to mean, because I've met persons and they say, "Sadi day more high, sadi day more high," and that's the attitude. So no, when we're talking about being resilient, we're talking about sorti adi day. Gari kimani okay sorti
Break out
adi
of it.
day. Okay, so get out of it. Unlike some people will only look at the obstacles. If you had looked at your obstacle and said, okay, they did not give me an increase, but at least I have a job and taken it as that, then what? Okay?
Right. But what I got at, even if our backgrounds or circumstances influence who we are still responsible for who we become.
Exactly.
so
So it's
true.
not how you start, but how you end. Okay? Because if we just laid back and say, me, the government not helping me. Like for example, you have a truck to your home. Okay, I'm not speaking about any particular person. I'm just giving an example.
Okay.
You have a truck going to your home, and every time it rains, you kind of get inside of your house, and maybe you cannot afford it much, and there are other persons living around, and you've been asking the government for help. They're not getting. Are you going to sit there and say, "Gouvernement ba ede, so mabrafaye?" No, you will go out there, try to get a stone, try to do something to help your situation. So this is what we're talking about. Hey, try to do something to help your
Yourself.
situation. And too many people like to talk about the obstacles. They will say, "Oh, this every." Some people you try to tell them, "Look, this is how to go about doing something." Oh, but I don't have bus fare to go to town. Oh, and the buses will come late. It's like it's all about the obstacles. They complain and
Complaining.
complain and complain.
It blocks your blessings.
Complain less. Because
Complaint blocks your blessings.
yes, because it is we won't tell them not to complain because it almost seems like
You're
shove
shutting
it
them
down.
up. Yeah.
Shove it down. No, you can talk about it. But I look at it as a spring bed that when you're down, you go down, but you come right back up. You don't stay down. That is the problem. You can cry. It is important to cry.
You have to cry.
You understand? You sit when life becomes tough, when things are overwhelming, cry. I remembered when I started teaching and I got a very low appraisal. I almost lost my job. So I was trying to do a transfer from a particular school. And when I called the ministry, they told me that you don't even have a job. Fale is getting a transfer. And let me tell you, I sat, I cried, and I cried my heart out.
Without a that, you
But-
got something.
I dried my tears. When I was done crying, I dried my tears and I called the ministry back. You know what I said to them? nobody's going to push me out of teaching. Nobody. And I got up and I fought. Yes. So had I just sat down there and cried, then what? So it's okay to cry, but get up and fight again. Move.
Yeah.
Go out there and do what you must do.
Persistent.
Yes.
Because misery loves company. And the more you stay crying and complaining, and you want somebody to see you crying, most people don't even care.
True.
And most times they don't have time for that. So you now have to look for what can I do?
Definitely.
Go out there. If you can ask somebody to help you to start,
Definitely.
because if somebody could start from nothing and grow themselves to something great, it's in us. What's in us is greater than whatever is out there. So we have that spirit within us. God has given us that spirit that will help us come from here to go to there. So it's not where you come from, because my mom was a janitor. My mom could barely afford. She had 3 daughters with no father. Okay? She could have barely afforded. Talk about resilience. Every time I had to be wearing hand-me-downs from my sister. Hand-me-downs. When my church
Same with
shoe
me.
was too small. Okay. And I couldn't go to church. Sometimes you have to wait it, or you have to wait until somebody could buy you a little Chinese shoe,
So
to go to school or to go to church.
Yeah.
But we made it. We never said, we came from here and we're going to stay. No, because in me was wanting more. And you see, when you have a goal, when you have a dream, whatever it is you want, you could have. You could have, and I've learned that. I wrote my goals down, and I used to always read positive books. I don't read books that will just be like just for reading. I read books to inspire me, to motivate me, to learn something from.
Yeah.
Okay, if I listen to audiobooks on YouTube, it's to help teach me something. I'm not just listening to things just for listening's sake. It's to learn from, right? And with what I was reading, it was programming me that you can do it. And I had my goals listed down, what I want to do. And every year I would go and have a new set of goals. In fact, not just for the whole year, but every time you review, you see, I also want to do this. I also want to, and I accomplished almost everything I wrote.
Amen to that.
Because when you
Amen to
write it
that.
down, you're halfway there. It may seem impossible, but nothing is impossible for God. And when
Nothing
you
at
have
all.
when you have a strong belief, when you believe deep inside of you that it can happen, it will happen.
It will.
It
Definitely.
may take time, and along the way, a lot of persons will quit. But when you quit, you'll never know what could have happened.
Definitely.
Because look at is it Einstein, right? Who had the is it Einstein?
Well, look at KFC.
KFC, yes.
KFC.
Look at KFC,
Right.
who at 60 something,
Yes.
Yeah.
after have been
Trying and
so
beaten
many
away.
people told him
Yes.
no. He could have quit and just say, you know what, forget about it. I'll just keep my recipe for myself and die with
Yes.
it. That's why
Yes.
that's why they say also the richest place is the cemetery. Because that's where all the dreams, persons who had their dreams, Les Brown always says that. I like listening to these speakers. Yes. Yes, the richest place is the cemetery, because persons with all their dreams, all their ideas, died with it, and it never
Yes.
came to life. So I'm saying, young people, old people, you're never too old, you're not too young to live your dreams.
Definitely.
So let's mention highlight. Nokia refused Android. Yahoo rejected Google. Kodak refused digital cameras. Lesson: take chances, embrace the change. If you refuse to change with time, you'll become outdated. And there's some way I can go on and on. All right, Facebook takes over WhatsApp and Instagram. Grab takes over Uber in Southeast Asia. Lesson: become so powerful that your competitors become your allies.
Definitely.
Reach to the top and eliminate the competition. Keep on innovating.
Amen. I like that.
Definitely.
Yep.
Amen to that. And ending on a very good
Yes,
note.
yes.
Because it's 12:06. Normally when I come on, it's like we could go on and on and on, but all good things have to come to an end.
Yes. 6 minutes after the hour of 12. That is it.
So of course, listeners out there, thank you so much for your comments. And I'm hoping that you utilize this number that Mrs. David gave again. She will
Yes.
repeat it.
Yeah.
And of course, we will have a repeat She will be coming again. I cannot tell you when,
Sure.
but of course,
Sure.
when she is coming, we will have our flyer out there. So we will be advertising so you can keep in touch. Again, Mrs. David, thank you so very much for this insightful program and accepting this offer of being here and already accepting to come back. So thank you.
Again,
Thank
folks,
you.
remember continue to share the lives, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube. You will see.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really, really something else. I am very happy to have been here, to have shared my experience, and to, I hope, inspire someone or encourage someone, and also to open their eyes about insurance. Maybe some people I know, they probably were very misled about
True.
insurance.
True.
So I am just so happy that you invited me here to share my experiences. So thank you. And definitely, I will put in my schedule next time to be back.
Definitely.
Thank
And your
you.
number? So
Oh, and my number.
Again,
My number
advice,
again.
we need some advice.
Yes,
We are
my
reach out, yeah.
number 721-0938, 721-0938, or also 285-8243. I don't know why this number always
say it
has me.
again.
285-8243. So either one of these I could be reached on, but the one with WhatsApp, if you cannot call, I know some persons it's only WhatsApp.
But you know,
So the one with WhatsApp is the 721-0938.
again, folks, if you want to talk about medical insurance, life insurance,
Annuities.
annuities, just to name a
Critical
few,
illness.
just to name a few, you can reach her on the
On the numbers.
okay, very nice. Anyway, again, folks, it was a pleasure sitting. Until next time, God's willing, taking care of yourself and others. Enjoy what's left of your Wednesday already. Wednesday midweek,
Yes.
hump day. Anyway, enjoy, ladies. It was a pleasure. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
88.5 Sufre FM.